talk some friendlies.
Let us catch up.
Let's talk some crap that meant nothing.
Well,
Woo!
well, we've got a couple of friendlies to talk about, but we've also got a potential new U.S. men's national team coach. We'll talk about that.
Hey, all I got to say about that is, remember when you went, there's nobody better. Do you remember my list of names?
Oh, yeah, it was on the list,
He
but
was
I don't
on my
agree
list of
with
names.
it. We'll get to it. We're going to get to it. All right, before we do that, Brooks, how are you? Doing all right? You look a little sad and gloom and down today.
No, I'm just mentally preparing for the long college season, these next 3 months of college scouting, MLS Next.
All right.
It's,
Okay.
busy weekends.
I get you. So everybody just pay attention here. There was a side comment a couple weeks ago made by Nate.
Hello.
Yeah, that Nate across the room.
Hi.
And I said, I think, I forget even what we were talking about, but I said, I used to be really fast, and I'm still pretty quick. and Nate slid in and goes, hey, yeah, I could beat you in a running race. And that got it going. That got us going. Like, if you know me, I am pretty quick. I used to be very quick, but not anymore. But I was like, all right, that's it. Well, a couple of days ago, we did a little bit of a running race, and the four of us went down to the fields, and we ran from one end of the field to the other. And it was a good time. We're gonna have we have a video of that. We'll show you that coming up shortly. So stick around. All right, before we jump in, I do want to say a big thank you to our partners, a big thank you to Soccer World. Appreciate all the love and support you guys show us. Big thank you to Aaron Bird and Next Level Training. They are up in Petoskey this week. Beautiful Petoskey running their camp. Big thank you to the Michigan Jags. And Jags soccer is now back. It starts up again this week with practices and games, and then the Jag tournament in 2 weeks. So I will be at 6 to 8 games for that weekend. So big thank you to the Michigan Jags. Big thank you to Thomas McGee's. You can watch all of the upcoming EPL and Bundesliga games in the season at Thomas McGee's downtown Detroit Eastern Market. Big thank you to the football doc, Dr. Zachary Atwood. He is phenomenal at what he does. Physical therapy gets people back on the field playing. Big thank you to the Fab Football Academy, located just outside of London in England. What a phenomenal facility they have. Absolutely wonderful. If you are a high schooler, you're looking for going to college, or a college player, and you're looking for a gap year, check out Fab Football Academy. They do some awesome stuff. They will fine-tune your game and get you into the right pro program. All right, guys, let's start with Pellegrino Matarazzo. Nate, you did call this a couple of weeks ago. You had him on your list. The topic came up yesterday. Bild and Kicker, I believe, out of Germany, have reported that he has been offered the U.S. men's national team coaching job, the managing job.
I mean, I shared the Galazzo one from CBS.
Did they go? Did they?
That's where I first saw it.
Okay, I saw it as Bild and Kicker. Listen, there's some differentiating views on this, Nate. I saw your comments on the Facebook group, the We Are Soccer Facebook group. Pellegrino Matarazzo, what are your thoughts, my friend? Let's. You are the German expert. Let's open it on the floor to you.
Well, before we get started in there, from the guys who want to take a crap on it, I would like to know why.
Okay.
I would like to know why.
Do you,
Like us or just anyone?
Just anyone. Yeah, okay, just tell me why.
right.
Why you don't like it. It's fine, because I think there's reasons to like, and then there's definite reasons that would cause you worry.
Okay.
Now, outside of him not having any international experience, but guys, guess what?
One of my main.
So who are you going to hire with international experience, though?
There's a bunch of guys that are out there that have international experience.
that you would take right now that don't have a job.
Well, that's the thing.
Outside of Southgate, who I don't think will take the job anyways, right?
Pellegrino Matarazzo has a job. He
has a job. Yep.
He's at Hoffenheim. And
Yeah,
they
but being
are
a-
9 days, 10 days away from
Yeah, being a manager in Germany, it's,
This
Yeah,
goes,
I get it.
yeah,
this,
marry
goes
your own.
this goes deeper than the managerial appointment.
Okay.
Well,
Way deeper.
Okay.
all right, I'm going to
Go
get
deeper.
We're going to get a little deeper, but one, Nate, you asked for
Yeah, I'm just curious.
number one, no national team managerial experience for me.
Okay.
I was hoping that they would bring someone in who's at least coached at the national team level or been there as an assistant coach for a while.
But
So just
none of their
some
top
experience.
candidates really have that.
Agreed, and that was that we.
So if I take that off the table,
take that off the table. Next is
Yep.
winning percentage with the club teams that you've been with.
correct.
33% win percentage. It's not exactly good, is it not?
Yep, but there's an asterisk behind that.
I mean, I'm going to put you some notes real quick here, all right? At Stuttgart, he won 31 of 100 games, losing 40.
And when he took over Stuttgart, they were in Division II. He got them promoted.
Yep, he did.
And
He
the
has a
average
promotion.
Bundesliga team after promotion usually lasts about 2 years, and then they get relegated again. Which was close to what was happening when he got out because they didn't make the proper investments. The year that he was actually took over for Stuttgart after finishing ninth, they sold their goalkeeper and never really replaced him to Dortmund. They sold their forward, and never really replaced him. And they got banged up with a bunch of injuries. So I would say there wasn't a lot of proper investments with Stuttgart there.
At his current club, Hoffenheim, he's been in charge for 52 matches.
Correct.
They've won 20.
Right. And when he took over at Hoffenheim, they're in relegation battle.
Okay.
He pulled them out of relegation battle, and now they're in the Europa, which is the highest they've actually finished in the last few
Agreed.
years.
They have gotten, but he still has a win percentage
Correct.
of somewhere around 38%.
And Hoffenheim is also a team that hasn't invested big. And guess who's a starter for Hoffenheim?
I don't know. Tell me who.
At center back, and does very well.
Tell me.
Jonathan Brooks.
Who has been
Cascaded out of the team.
Yes.
But apparently he can win games and get them in the Europa.
No.
Now, I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that he is a savior and he's going to, but I think you could do worse. If you're talking about a guy who is outside of the American system, yes, he played at Columbia. He has a mathematics degree from Columbia, but he never played in the States. He played his whole career in Germany. His coaching education and background is from Germany, not from America. He went to the same academy to learn his coaching trade as Nagelsmann, and was Nagelsmann assistant at Hoffenheim. So there's a lot of pros there, and I think you could do worse.
But obviously, 33% win percentage. He's
Correct.
been relegated.
Now, usually,
National team experience.
do national team coaches, are they usually good club coaches?
No, they're average club coaches.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he's about an average. I would say it would be interesting, and I'm not saying USA is a team with the top talent,
They're
but it would be interesting to see what he does, what he could do with a team that had top talent and invested. Stuttgart now is a team that is solid because
Sure.
they cleaned house management-wise after they got rid of him. Okay? Hoffenheim never was a top-end team. They're a mid-table team. And Stuttgart was a bottom-end team when he went there. So it would be interesting to see what he could do with it, but we will never see that.
It still comes down to
It's a question
this
mark.
is the biggest managerial hire this nation is going to have for decades. We are now potentially about to hire a guy who has no national team experience, has a 33% winning percentage across all of his managerial teams. We're going into the World Cup that's being hosted here. We need someone who can get the job done. This is not exactly the type of person I was personally hoping for.
I think it's a band-aid appointment.
You think so?
Yeah, I do. Because I think the deeper issue is the national team, the youth national team, set up in philosophy standpoint of the way that they are developing and playing players, or developing players to play in the national team. Because if you look at the women's side of the U.S. women's national program, right, and you look at the top team, outside of the fact that they got rid of Rampino and a bunch of others this year that
Alex
retired
Morgan,
and all that
so
sort
on,
of
yep.
stuff, Alex Morgan's going and all that sort of stuff, they've got a great nucleus of young, technically gifted female athletes, female soccer players that can play the game at a very incredible and they've shown that during the Olympics.
And they went out.
No, hold on a sec. So what they did was they already had the philosophy in place with the players. They knew how they wanted to play. They had technically gifted players, so they went and hired the very best female coach in the world, or one of. And they went to England to buy Emma Hayes from Chelsea, which was she was winning everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they brought her across, right? And the U.S. women's national team at this moment in time during the Olympics, with the largely amount of the same players that played in the last World Cup, look completely night and day different.
Yep.
Night and day different.
Absolutely, they do. Yep.
So
Go ahead, Ray.
this is actually feeding into my point that Matarazzo, Rhino, as they called him at Stuttgart,
Ooh, insider knowledge there,
Yeah,
folks.
there you go.
Rhino.
he never had top talent. Was able to get the most out of him. And
So it's a band-aid appointment then.
well, it's you need that because you're not going to get the top talent. You're not going to produce a top end flight national team within 2 years. right?
No, I agree with you.
Yeah,
But
so
let's just agree that the fact that this is a band-aid appointment and there are deeper issues with the U.S. men's national team, both at the youth level and the top
100%.
team.
There's no argument there. You're not going to solve it with, but you're not going to solve that with any coach that you're bringing in. Is my point. And to bring in him, a guy who has gotten the most out of the least within a top flight European league, which Germany is not the best, but top 4.
I mean, for all Gareth Southgate's
I
faults,
love Gareth
right?
Southgate.
For all his faults, right? For all his faults in terms of, there's some decisions that he made in some games and all that sort of stuff. We can argue and say, well, the facts are there. He's the most successful England manager outside of Alf Ramsey, right? So he was a part of a redevelopment of the way that the national team looked, or the FA looked at developing young players. Right, and he took over those youth teams and did very well with them, and then was molded into the next England manager, which he's had for the last 8 years. I think my personal opinion is that the FA are about to do the same thing on repeat again because it was so successful.
Yeah,
and you can't really take that success away from him. So why are the US not looking at a deeper issue?
I think, one, he costs too much money, right? But I think he'd be a great fit here. Now, the U.S., you're right, has deep issues going back all the way through the youth. We're seeing that right now. The U.S. U20s just lost to Mexico today. The men's team.
Yeah, but they qualified for the U20 World Cup.
Okay.
I'm just saying,
Agreed.
It's not that they got bounced.
There's issues going deep through, right?
It's not the youth national team. It's not the U.S. youth national team.
Don't you want a manager to come in here and be able to reset and go
How
back
is it not
through?
the youth national team?
It's everything outside of U.S. soccer. So that includes, and when I say U.S. soccer, I mean just the national team. It's outside the youth national team setup. It's MLS Next. It's USYS. It's ECNL. It's everything. It's outside of that produces the players. That's the issue. It's not within the youth national team setup. I mean, you can probably blame a little bit of it because they tend to pick favorites a lot, but it starts with the grassroots and everything else in the club level.
I think that's what we're saying. It goes back into the club level. It goes all the way down to club level. And then what we're seeing is the top level in those U.S. national teams, right? We're seeing those. But that's where there's issues. There's issues all the way down.
Because, listen, they have won. I mean, they've won CONCACAF, championships at the 16, 17 level. They've qualified for the U20s consistently. The Olympics, not so much.
And
they've qualified for the U18 World Cup.
England won the
they've done it.
U18 World Cup several times. But
Correct.
Correct.
Didn't Ukraine won? Ukraine won the U20s the one time a couple years ago or whatever. It's like hit or miss at that age group. But the importance of the competition of playing in those World Cups is huge.
Sure.
It's because, that's
it
international
needs to start to
experience.
transition into the men's first team to actually get to wins games there.
I can tell you this right now. The women's side, the U.S. women's national team, women's side from top to bottom, from professional first team up and down through the youth team. Don't think for 1 second that Emma Hayes won't have her stamp on that.
Oh, absolutely.
Sure. She will.
She will.
But I think the U.S., you coaching the girls' side, I think they do a lot better of calling in the right players and the players that deserve to be there, unlike the male side, in my opinion.
Isn't that on the U.S. Soccer Federation?
Yeah, I haven't.
They're two separate if you really look at it, like between the men and the women. I mean, they operate as one, but I think in reality of how they're run internally, I think the women get it right from the grassroots level up, and then the men, there's a lot of things going on.
Okay. All right. Danny, you were gonna finish your thought there, Danny. I think you were going to say something, but I got one last piece I want to.
No, I don't necessarily disagree with him, and I don't really have enough institutional knowledge at the youth level to say whether they're picking the right players or not picking the right players. I mean, for me, I think Chloe Ricketts is probably one of the best young players out there. And I know she's in and around the youth national team. So hopefully that they're doing the right things there and guiding her towards, the national team along with Amalia. I think they're doing those right things. But I think the women's side will get it right a hell of a lot quicker than the men's side, just because of Emma Hayes' knowledge.
So I think part of it comes back to why have they offered Pellegrino Matarazzo and not anybody else? I think he fits into the budget. I think he fits into that 1.2 to little under 3 budget. Whereas if you want a Southgate, you're in the 4, 5, 6 million a year.
They're willing to go get another sponsor to get someone more.
You want to get a Southgate, you're going to get 2 or 3 sponsors.
But why not?
So they're willing to do that.
Why not shoot for the stars, right?
So my question to Nate is then why not if they're willing to go outside and go and I don't
He's-
mean I don't
I-
mean this disrespectfully, but the guy's a nobody. I'd never even heard of him before that post
fine.
came out. The guy's a nobody. Why are they not going after a top MLS coach that sees these players coming through that system, through the MLS Next system into the MLS? Why are they not picking a homegrown?
Because you don't, as a first team coach, you don't really pay attention to a lot of those guys. I mean, I'll be honest.
Gareth Southgate did, mate. So
I mean, you talk about a lot of first team guy. I mean, I know a lot of first team players in MLS that like they don't hear much of the academy until the kid comes into the first team training. So, and you know, there's a disconnect even between second teams and academies within MLS. So, you know,
didn't a
it's
14-year-old just play the other night?
Kevin Sullivan.
Kevin. Yeah, a couple weeks ago. Yeah. But I mean, there's other internal things within that one that I don't want to go into. But you know, he's a special kid, no doubt. But you know,
Well,
Isn't it the job of the national team coach to have an eye on what's going on in the youth system so he knows what players to pick?
yeah, they do. I mean, they're out of the big MLS Next tournaments and all that stuff. I just don't know if they're watching them like a hawk, like they are in other countries per se.
Then that's a problem.
Klinsmann did.
that's always your answer, isn't it?
Who,
I was in
who put
favor.
on who put on Pulisic? Who gave Pulisic his start
I think
at 17
I
and
think-
was criticized?
I think Stevie Wonder could have seen the
Really?
talent that's the
Because
Christian.
he didn't play a single first team match for Dortmund yet.
Right. There's a big difference between being in Germany and being a star here. He had the skill and the talent.
I mean, the one
of
thing-
most
He
of the
had yet
players
to
here.
start. He had yet to make a name for him on the big stage, and he was criticized for giving him a start.
Yeah.
When he did.
So they're trying to make changes, though, aren't they?
But they get held back.
There's this
somehow,
big
yeah.
rumor going around right now that's that they're going to go back to the old birth year system.
Really?
Oh, they're gonna transition back.
Yeah, the bit of a rumor. I don't know whether it's
Interesting.
true or not, but it's a bit.
I've
of a
heard that
rumor,
one too.
you know.
Interesting. Well, we
mean,
don't
it's-
we don't know if it's true that if Pellegrino Matarazzo has been offered, the rumors are out there. We'll see, Brooks.
I mean, the one thing I will say is, I mean, you and I talked before, and I was just kind of just giving you my 2 cents of not just soccer, but just national team stuff in general, whether it's been Olympics, winter, summer. You know, the 1980 hockey team won with a college coach in college. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just like, if you look at the historic, probably outside of basketball, of what the United States has won in national team stuff, it's really been with really nobody coaches. To be honest with you, never big name coaches.
But
So-
in nobody competitions.
So
Yeah.
I really don't care about other sports or other countries. I don't care what, no offense, England does. We're different than them.
But that's what I'm saying. That's
Okay.
my point. Is like, I mean, we don't, national team coaches aren't really big name people most of the time. So I'm just saying, like, it just kind of fits within, like, if Matarazzo came in, it's like, okay, like, I'm fine with that.
But-
He's faced adversity.
I'm not discounting. With that said, I agree with all your points.
Mm-hmm.
My issue is I don't think it's going to happen in 2 years,
Mhm.
and so you need to bring in someone now, so it does well, and then you can think of it reconfigure. Which, to your point,
I completely
to your point.
understand that they need to bring somebody in now to make an impact for the biggest competition in the world.
I
that's
would-
on home soil.
right? And I would love Garrett Southgate, but I do not see that as a realistic option.
Sure.
No, I
You
didn't.
know.
No, I,
No,
maybe,
but I'm just saying.
maybe
period.
you misunderstood. Maybe
No,
you
no.
misunderstood it, and I know he looked at me as if saying, "I don't think he'd come this way." I didn't mean bring Gareth Southgate
No,
in.
we've had that
Talking about
discussion.
the philosophy
Yep.
change.
We've had that discussion, and I have flat out said I think Garrett Southgate would be great for this team. Like, it just as a manager who's available with international experience, who would probably take them to, if he had the talent, to a next level. But that's the issue. I think we're still far away from that. Where, to me, a Southgate versus Matarazzo, I mean, even though Southgate is better and could probably do better with a better team, I don't think you're going to have much of a difference because you're capped
tell
with
you-
what you can actually do.
I'll tell you the national team coach that I would go after if I was a US, if I was Croker,
Interesting.
Ralph Radnick,
I'd take him.
because he would institute change at the development system.
I also would take him, but I don't think he's leaving Austria.
Yeah.
No, I'm
yeah, but
speaking
you're right.
hypothetically here. If the US's idea is a band-aid appointment to get a team of good athletes playing good football, then you go after the guy that can do that quickly.
I mean, look what
And
he did
and
for Austria,
And he did
right?
it with Austria.
I mean,
But
phenomenal.
the guy is also absolutely a genius
Yep.
at change. developmental change.
Do you remember when he went to Manchester United and he said, "I'm going to be playing the 4-2-2-2," and everybody went, "What the f? It ain't going to work." And it
But he was also
didn't
right
really work,
about
but it also
100% of the things that he
worked.
said.
Yeah, he was 100% right. Absolutely. And even Eric Ten Hag has come out recently and said what was said 2 years ago or 3 years ago by Ralph Ragnick. 100%.
Yeah, and the
Yeah,
US.
I mean, a great appointment if they could do it, right?
The US job.
Hypothetical,
The US job is quote unquote a desirable appointment. I mean, it's a fucking big job.
You make a name for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Only issue with Ragnick is, just like Klinsmann, he'll be honest, and then he'll get run out of town.
Yeah.
And the Federation don't want
The
to.
Federation doesn't like honesty.
I mean, you're not wrong.
And well, here's the thing about the Federation. If you're listening, you need to grow up.
Yeah.
Because if you want to compete on the big stage, you have to make change.
Yep.
I mean, it's just as simple as that.
And it's time. And maybe they feel that Matarazzo is the change that's needed right now. Maybe
Or-
he is the one that's needed. Because
Or-
let me finish my thought real quick. Hold on. Because they actually, Matt Crocker had a conversation with Matarazzo before Greg Berhalter was hired. They had a nice conversation. Matarazzo recently came out and said, yes, we had a conversation. It was nice. It was civil. It wasn't the right time for a move for either of us for me to be in this position, but it was a great conversation. Greg Berhalter has now been let go, and they picked up that conversation again. So, you know what? They've had Matt Crocker, the U.S. Federation president, sporting director, has had a year plus now to let that conversation with Matarazzo
And they have time.
simmer.
They have time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They are guaranteed World Cup spot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because
There's
they're hosting.
nothing to
so
play
they,
for. Yeah,
they
yeah.
have time over the next 3 to 4 months to get the appointment right.
Yep. So, Nate, sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead and.
I was going to say, or he's just another guy from New Jersey, because that's where he's from New Jersey.
Is he from New Jersey?
He's
He is
New
from
Jersey.
New Jersey. He
And
is.
what's that record of New Jersey's hires outside of Klinsmann? I think they're
14.
yeah. So there you go.
Region 1 Mafia, Craig.
So, but here's how it works out to get him. If it just real quick, how it would work out. Yes, he is hired. He is employed by Hoffenheim till 2025.
Yep.
Germany takes a winter break.
Yeah.
So if they want to do it right, like you said, there's not much going on. They make that he leaves, probably agrees to do the first half, while they get even a replacement on board, Hoffenheim. He leaves in the winter, which is actually not very uncommon in the Bundesliga. If you're doing bad,
Yeah,
especially they cut a lot of guys during that winter break.
And then he's got 18 months
Yeah.
in the role.
And
Yep.
so that's how you do it. It'd actually be a very simple transition. It wouldn't happen now. It would happen in December.